Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Live at 5. I am your host, curator Kevin Adkisson, and today I am coming to you from Thornlea, the home of Henry Booth and Carolyn Booth, built in 1926 and expanded in 1927 and 1928. This house was used to raise the Booths' 5 children, and they remained involved in Cranbrook throughout their lives. So Henry Booth was the youngest son of George and Ellen Scripps Booth. He studied architecture at the University of Michigan with Eliel Saarinen, which is one of the ways that the Saarinens knew the Booths. And Henry Booth was also involved in the leadership of Cranbrook, serving on the Cranbrook Foundation for its entire history from 1927 to 73, and then in leadership positions well into his 90s. So he really helped to create his parents' dream, and then he certainly helped to maintain it and adapt it into the rest of the 20th century. Carolyn Booth was also deeply involved with Cranbrook and established many different entities at Christchurch Cranbrook and the Junior League of Bloomfield Hills, as well as Planned Parenthood in Detroit. So they were really active philanthropists and community leaders here at Cranbrook and in Metro Detroit. Today's tour, though, is not just about who the Henry and Carolyn Booths were, but about one specific aspect of their house. And so let me turn the camera around. If you don't know where I am, Brookside is just on the other side of this wall. So we see the roof of Hedgegate there. And then the very sort of formal Italian Renaissance gate there just makes me think of sort of a Florentine bunker. And then we come to the house, which is made of Dutch brick, concrete block, limestone, shingles, and is an eclectic variety of styles, from French Norman to English Cotswold to Italian Renaissance. It was designed when Henry Scripps Booth was just in his 20s. It was his first and most sort of significant project he would build, and it is some 20,840 square feet. So it is a huge family home on the Cranbrook estate. It was given to Cranbrook by the family in the late 1980s after their father died. Here's the cornerstone. But as we step into the front door and we see Melinda looking at us, we see the first part of our special tour today, Pewabic Pottery tile floor. And you may know the Pewabic pottery from studies in Detroit and from traveling through Detroit. You may know it from Live at 5. But Pewabic Pottery is Detroit's main arts and crafts ceramic studio. It was established in 1903. And here at Thornlea was one of Mary Stratton's most elaborate and significant architectural commissions. And so today's tour is going to be focused just on the Pewabic pottery here at Thornlea. Now, on Sunday, I will be leading a tour through the Pewabic pottery founder, Mary Chase Perry Stratton's own house. And as part of that tour, it is a private home, so this is not something that is ever open for regular public tours, and it is not something that is going to be available after the fact. So special thanks to the homeowners, Philip Morrissey and Joe Nakarata of Fleur Detroit, who are letting us into their house, but it's going to be a live event this Sunday at 3 p.m. And so you want to sign up for that right now at center.cranbrook.edu because it really is a very special occasion. And before we get to that event on Sunday, I thought, let's tie this to Mary Stratton's other great bathrooms, because you'll see in her own house, it is really the work of the artist, and it's an experimental installation of tiles. Here at Thornlea, we're going to see the work of a commission, and so a collaboration with a young architect who respected Mary Stratton and who admired her work with Puavik. And Henry Booth also admired the work of his father, George Booth, and Mary Stratton. So on Sunday, I'm going to be delivering a little 12 to 15 minute lecture about the long history of George Booth, Ellen's. Now, there should be Wi-Fi in this house, so I'm not sure why. But hopefully we'll stick together enough to look at some beautiful tiles. So as I mentioned, the house is over 20,000 square feet, which is enormous. And of what Henry Booth was purchasing for the house was much larger than most Puavik commissions that Mary Stratton had. And so the initial order was for some close to $6,000 worth of tiles. And that's in 1926. So a huge investment in tiles. And that included the vestibule floor. It included fireplaces, 4 bathrooms. It included windowsills, grate covers, as well as some other sort of small ledges and places where Puavik was used. In the 1927 and 28 editions, there are even more installations of Pewabic pottery. So the Wi-Fi is back connected. I hope that we stick together. If not, have patience. And I hope I come back and the camera focuses so that we can look at some of these installations. Now, this main living room has a stone fireplace, but we see that there are the first of our Pewabic radiator grills. And so Puavik is really known for the beautiful glazes and colors that Mary Stratton created. And so here we see one of the iridescent glazed tiles, which she did by adding kerosene into the kiln. And so it's a chemical reaction from the clay body, her glaze, and then the kerosene firing. And this wonderful sort of texture that was very much inspired by Byzantine tiles that she saw in Ravenna and that she saw in Spain, becomes sort of her signature aesthetic and was admired by the arts and crafts leaders all around the country. And so Mary Stratton had installations at the National Shrine of Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C., at the DIA, at the Detroit Public Library. These, I assume, are all designed by Mary Stratton and installed here at Thornlea. And so we see that underneath each of the windows, there are the custom tiles and then the tile radiator covers. If you want to learn more about Thornlea itself, do go back to the Cranbrook Center for Collections and Research Facebook page. I did a full hour-long tour of just the house and its objects. Now here, which is where the grandchildren used to sit and wait to be picked up because they could look for their parents coming around the driveway. And this is where Henry had a lot of his watercolors displayed. We see a really cool collection of the Figural tiles from the Pewabic pottery. And so these are quite similar to what is over in the floor of Christ Church Cranbrook, which Henry Booth was involved in overseeing that commission with his underneath his father. And it's also very similar to the flooring that's over at the Art Academy Administration Building, which is, of course, a building designed by Henry Booth and Bob Swanson. We see the same radiator cover here, and all the different sort of geometric shapes, insignias, swirls, and geometries paired with roosters and other birds. A really wonderful collection of Puavik. And I love the custom little corner pieces to turn the edge. And then in here we also see our first Puavik fireplace. And so originally this fireplace had metal tools that were created by the Booth's son David, who just recently passed away. So we remember him as we look at the fireplace. His tools, however, are no longer here in the house, but I love the fact that Henry Booth, on his one fireplace, combined the talent of one of his children's working in the Cranbrook metalsmith shop within the beauty of his dear friend Mary Stratton and her Pewabic Pottery tiles. And it really, I don't know what it looks like on your end, but in my real life experience of these tiles, just the glow that they have, the sort of depth that her glaze carries is really quite stunning, especially as the night sets early on our November evening that I would say was chilly, but it's quite warm today and humid. Here we see another one of the radiator cover screens by Puavik with pierced screens. And then in the stairway here, Henry and Carolyn displayed a collection of glass vases that, for the vases' safety, are now stored at Cranbrook Art Museum. And then there is the Dewey Shri, which is a goddess of good luck from the South Pacific. The Booths were huge travelers, and so they picked up all different types of artworks to ornament the home. And they also befriended artists like Willem Spiegel, who Henry met on his 1922 trip to Europe with Bob Swanson. And then the Spiegels and the Booths became really close friends. And so this is a later piece by Willem Spiegel from Obergemmerau. And then I love the blue ceiling with the red detail, which is something that I think Henry learned from the Saarinens, particularly Pipsan Saarinen Swanson. This is something that she did in her own house, Tower Knoll, and that is in a number of different Cranbrook buildings where Pipsan was involved. And then we'll just go through some of the bedrooms. If you're just joining us on our Live at 5 tour, I'm Kevin Adkisson, the Associate Curator with the Cranbrook Center for Collections and Research, and we are touring through Henry and Carolyn Booth's home, Thornlea, looking at their Pewabic Pottery installation. So it is the largest collection of Pewabic custom installations at Cranbrook. Of course, all of the bathrooms at Kingswood and its fireplaces and lobbies is the largest by number of rooms with Puavik, but those bathrooms repeat. Each one of these, as we will see, is different. And so we're coming into the guest bathroom, which has this lotus leaf Puavik pottery motif and the great ledge that forms the sort of molding. And you can see how the glaze is reflecting the light and sort of making it shimmer. All of these are handmade tiles, and so all of them are, a different shape. And to our eye, as well as the eye of a visitor in the 1920s, knowing that these are handmade is part of their value and part of what Henry Booth paid an extraordinary sum of money, or invested an extraordinary sum of money in having the tiles look handmade. Part of the arts and crafts movement was truth and beauty and utility in each object, but it was also against the Industrial Revolution. And so though Mary Stratton, as a talented and well-trained ceramicist, she could have made perfectly smooth tiles, but then you might not even know they were handmade. And so this really great texture is showing the sort of hand of the craftsman. And all of these tiles were made in the city of Detroit, downtown on Jefferson Avenue in the Pewabic Pottery facility. This is the bedroom of Henry Scripps Booth. And we go into his dressing room to see the master of the house's own bathroom. He went with this cream-colored Pewabic pottery tile. And looking at the soap dishes, I am not sure that those are Puavik. I would kind of be shocked if those are Puavik, but maybe I'll do a little bit more research. Strangely, for Henry and Carolyn keeping every single paper they ever documented, just like the Booth's fathers, there's very little documentation about the relationship, the production relationship of creating the tiles for this house. It's really just sort of the bill of sale and then a few memories of Mary Stratton reflecting later about what a wonderful pleasure it was to work on this house. But there's not letters back and forth saying, oh, I wish we should do this. I want this in that room. I want this theme. So we don't know much about the creative process that went into designing these bathrooms. So as I cross out of Henry's bedroom, we see the family oratory, or the private family chapel. And if you're watching this and thinking, where's the nativity? Where are the vases? Thornlea is being used as a quarantine space for the boarding students. And so luckily, we have not had to use it much this fall. No one's been in here for a month. But I did go through and I removed all of the small objects from the house so that the students could make it their own space, and so that the family collections were safe. So if you are a Booth family member and wondering why the house looks a little bit less decorated than it normally is, that is why. Now, from Carolyn's bedroom, we come into the master bath, or really, I guess, the lady of the house's bath, with its really incredible Pewabic Pottery bathtub niche. Now, the bathtub itself is not Puavik. I don't think she ever made a bathtub. Having once toured the Kohler plant in Kohler, Wisconsin, where they make ceramic bathtubs, it's a little bit more advanced than what Mary Stratton was doing down at Puavik. But she did make the backsplash. And maybe you know the flowing well fountain, or the rainbow fountain that's over behind the Japanese garden. This is a decade later, but I think it's that same sort of impulse. It's a very similar design with these slightly paler series of tiles in this great collection of teals and aquas and deep blues and yellows and roses. I'm not sure if I had to be quarantined, this is the room that I would want to be stuck in, so I could just luxuriate in the Puavik bathroom. And you'll see it is Puavik on the floor, Puavik on the walls. We see another variation of the Puavik radiator covers on this side. And then the windows, which have been a little bit overtaken by vines, but they have the same sort of arched niche repeating from the bathtub. And so from Carolyn's bedroom through her dressing room into the bathroom, you see that the house has a small shift in it. And so we get this very Saarinen-esque room where it's a five-sided room with this funny angle here because the house has made a slight turn, and then we can walk through into the nursery, and we see Stephen Booth there on the wall, and in this great pale pink and blue nursery, we see the next Pewabic Pottery bathroom, now in white, and it has the sort of series of decorative designs coming through the center, as well as decorative flower motifs. So, hello, Lindsay. I don't, it was Henry Booth himself who said, Cranbrook boasts a ghost, which was a hit book that he wrote. And I actually intended to do a dramatic reading of Cranbrook Boast a Ghost for Halloween, and then I forgot. But if you know a story of the house being haunted, that is not a story I know. Henry and Carolyn seem to have had long lives, well lived, and so, to my knowledge, Thornlea doesn't boast a ghost. But if you've seen him, I can't deny that. So we look at the floor, and I think this is one of the rooms used by the students based on our bath mat there. But we also see these great flower tiles here. Now, oops, sorry everyone. The gimbal has a mind of its own. Okay, that was a dramatic turn of events. How is that for a joke? Next, we're going to try to go upstairs. Now, I'm not sure that the Wi-Fi goes upstairs. The house is now used for guest bedrooms here on the second floor, for special events and meetings on the first floor. And the third floor was an apartment for the archivist. It's now storage for cultural properties. So we will see if we stay connected for my favorite bathroom. I shouldn't have called it my favorite bathroom before I had proof that I could take you. Ideas that sticks out in my mind is just the connection from the second to the third floor, and that the stairway is sort of well removed from the first stairway and yet equally dramatic. This could be the main stairway in the house. Now, it does have a fabulous cold water, and so you see the iridescent glaze on this ice water dispenser from Puavik. And then as we head up the stairs, we can see our destination, the last bathroom that we will be visiting today. And so up here, among our furniture storage, we come to, the greatest bathroom at all of Cranbrook. And so this room with its beautiful Little Mermaid blue color and the sort of patterning, now without decorative designs, but now just with squares and patterning, paired with this really beautiful green on the ceiling and on the moldings. We can look out and we can see the sun setting over Brookside, Cranbrook House up on the hill. And then we'll look back through the arrangement of arched doors linking together the series of bedrooms and rooms. And then the shower, which switches from the square tiles to a fishtail tile. I mean, this is amazing, is it not? And so this is all part of that initial 1926 commission from Henry Booth to Mary Stratton to create a series of bathrooms, fireplaces, radiator covers, windowsills, floors. Now, in case I don't talk about this on, there is actually one more Pewabic Pottery bathroom that I forgot about. We'll see if we can stay connected to get over there. Let's see, we won't turn the lights on so you won't know what things we store here. But is there a light for the bathroom? Alas, here we are. So I know this is my colleague Diane's favorite bathroom at Thornlea, and it is quite charming. This little attic bathroom of Puavik with the decorative asymmetrical border running around. So as I head back to the main floor of the house, again, I would like to invite everyone, if you enjoyed looking at these tiles today, I'll be doing the same tour on Facebook tomorrow. Now the Facebook live tours are usually a bit longer and a little bit more involved, though today's went 25 minutes, so you're welcome to come back tomorrow for the Facebook tour. But I especially want to encourage you again to sign up for the Pewabic Pottery Stratton House Tour that is going to be this Sunday. It's a special event from the Cranbrook Center for Collections and Research. I'm calling this new series Cranbrook Neighbors, and they are going to be house tours that are still private residences related to the history of Cranbrook. So you've seen today the collaboration of Henry and Carolyn Booth with Mary Chase Perry Stratton and her Pewabic Pottery. On Sunday, I will take you through the potter's own house. It was designed by William Buck Stratton along with Mary Stratton. They were unmarried when they collaborated on her house. It was built first in Detroit. After they were married in 1927, they took the house apart and moved it to Grosse Pointe Farms. It is now owned by Cranbrook supporters and dedicated art appreciators, Philip and Joe, who not only work with me on restoring the Frank Lloyd Wright Smith House landscape, but have also agreed to open up their private home and private collection to you all, the faithful fans of the Cranbrook Center for Collections and Research. I have often said that it's my third favorite house in Michigan after Saarinen House and the Alden B. Dow House in Midland. But, you know, for this week, I'll say it's my number one favorite house. No, it really is absolutely incredible. So I really encourage you to go and buy a ticket to this virtual event. We are not going to be posting it after the virtual event, and it will not be available to view after the live showing. It is a private house, and so I think you can agree with me that it's wonderful to be let in at all. And I hope that you're able to join this Sunday at 3 o'clock. And again, tickets are available at center.cranbrook.edu. It is a paid event and it is a fundraiser, so your support of that house tour helps keep these Live at 5 tours free. Just to conclude this connection of Thornlea and Pewabic Pottery, Henry Scripps Booth admired Mary Stratton and all of her work. She passed away in 1961, and Henry Scripps Booth actually served on the board of Puavik and tried to help save the pottery. It was unclear what would happen after the founder passed away and after her leadership of this incredible arts and crafts institution wasn't there. He helped to solidify the deal with Michigan State University in East Lansing in 1964 to give Puavik to MSU. He then helped the dissolution of that relationship 15 years later in 1979 when MSU, realizing that though they had a robust ceramics department, Detroit to East Lansing was a bit of a haul, and so Puavik again became an independent nonprofit, and Henry Booth again took a real position of leadership and advocacy for Pewabic pottery in the 1970s and 80s. Though it didn't come to fruition, he attempted in the 1980s to actually throw a retrospective of her work from the Cranbrook collections and other collections he knew. And of course, I think he would have been delighted with the 2014 or 15 gift of the Gerald McNeely collection of Pewabic pottery to Cranbrook Art Museum, making the Cranbrook Art Museum collection one of the most significant collections of Pewabic pottery in the country. I might head to the Art Museum someday soon to do another Live at 5, but in the meantime, you need to head to Cranbrook Center, our website, center.cranbrook.edu, and get your ticket to the Stratton House Pewabic Pottery Tour this Sunday at 3 o'clock. I also should have looked up and made sure it's at 3 and not 4, but I'm pretty sure it's at 3 and not 4. Either way, it's Sunday afternoon. So I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching another Live at 5. I'm Kevin Adkisson, coming to you from Thornlea, and I will see you next Tuesday for another Live at 5 on Instagram, tomorrow for a Live at 5 on Facebook, and Sunday for the special Stratton House tour. Goodbye, everyone. Good to see you, Rocco.